What's going on, y'all? Today we're gonna go on a tour of the city of Marietta, and right now we're in Marietta Square. This is like the heart of the city, so let's go check it out. Right in the middle of downtown Marietta, or Marietta Square, is this park area. It's called Glover Park. It's super common to find a lot of people hanging out here during the evenings and during the weekends. It's a very popular place to come here and hang out. They've got this fountain here in the middle, and the fountain is kind of like the iconic part of Marietta. Everybody recognizes this fountain here in Marietta Square. And then all around the square are a bunch of the shops and the restaurants. Over to the side of Glover Park, they have this like little playground area. My kids love playing on this train playground over here. And then also off to the side is this sound stage. They often have like some kind of music events here. They have some concerts out on the park, which is super popular. Definitely a lot of things to do here in Marietta Square. Let's go now to like the outside part of the square. We'll go see some of the restaurants and the shops there and what those look like. The Strand Theater is a super well-known part of Marietta Square. They often have performances here. It's certainly a great place to catch a show. And then as we kind of come along the south side of Marietta Square, this is where a lot of the restaurants are. This one is Elon North, and that's one of my favorites in all of Marietta Square. Let's see if we can check out the menu here. Might be kind of hard to see, but definitely one of the best restaurants on the square. And if we keep going a little further on down the road, this restaurant is actually kind of new. Three Roses Tavern. Haven't been here before. Oh, it looks like they haven't opened yet. And then Sugar Cakes is also one of my favorites as well. Great restaurant. Every once in a while they have like a chalk kind of painting competition here in the square, and some of these murals here are left over from the paintings and from the Chalktoberfest. Overall, Marietta is kind of a suburban area. I mean, this part of Marietta, which is like the downtown part, is much more congested, or like you see more people here, but it's a very small part of the city of Marietta in general. Marietta Square is not really what the rest of the city looks like. The rest of Marietta kind of has that suburban feel, a bunch of neighborhoods spread out through the city, and then a few different commercial areas here and there. Everything that's like to the west of Marietta Square is considered West Cobb, and everything that's to the east of Marietta Square would be considered East Cobb. And a lot of people here joke about the differences between West Cobb and East Cobb, but the truth is there's not very big difference. Some of the homes in East Cobb are a bit older and they are more expensive than some of the homes in West Cobb. And I think there tend to be a few more young families in West Cobb. And I think that kind of has to do with the fact that the houses in West Cobb are a little less expensive. And so this is where a lot of the younger families go to buy a home. There are a lot of young families who live in Marietta, but there's also a lot of older families, or a lot of old money. A lot of that old money tends to be like in the East Cobb part of Marietta, especially like southeast part around Wheeler High School or Pope High School. That's really where a lot of that old money is. For the rest of Marietta, younger families there, and then the very southern part of Marietta, like southwest part of Marietta, is a very popular place as well. In general, Marietta is pretty racially diverse. It's not like some of the other parts of Georgia that are like overall one kind of culture or one kind of ethnicity. There are a lot of different races and cultures here in Marietta. And so that's certainly one of the highlights about living here, especially as a Latin American person myself. It's super important to be in an area that has that kind of mix. Okay, this is a really cool spot here. It's not open right now, so we can't quite go inside, but this actually looks like an old gas station. You can see a lot of the car decorations and all that stuff, but it's actually a really cool bar, and the way to get into this bar is kind of around the side of the building. They try to have this like speakeasy kind of feel to the bar. So if you ever come here, it's called the third door. You kind of have to go around to the side of the building, up this alleyway, and this is actually the entrance to the third door. All right, we made it over to the bridge. This bridge behind me here will take us over to the Marietta Market. So let's go across here and we'll go check out and see what the Marietta Market is like. This bridge is kind of off to the side of the square, so it's not really used a lot by a lot of people. I'm not sure that a lot of people know about it, but we can get to the top here and we can take this bridge all the way across the railroad tracks. Lots of cool views from the bridge up here. You get a really good look at the city from up here. The train that goes by here probably comes by about once every hour or two. It actually just came by and it's super loud and super annoying, but if it comes by again, I'll give you a shot of what it looks like and how annoying it is. Here's the view from the other side of the bridge. You can see some of the leaves on the trees are starting to change colors. It's November right now, and the temperature out here is about 70 degrees, which is kind of nice. I don't think it's usually 70 degrees in November in Marietta, but it's certainly a very welcoming temperature. It's a really nice day out today, but our destination for now is the Marietta Market down there. Let's go see what that's all about. This is relatively new. I think Marietta Market has been here for maybe about 4 or 5 years, maybe 6, kind of all runs together, but there used to be a few stores in here and it used to be kind of a mix of shopping and restaurants, but now for the most part it's just restaurants. So it's essentially just become a giant food court, but when it comes to finding lunch in Marietta, this is a great place to do that. There are a ton of restaurants in here. They also have a lot of really good outdoor seating over here. This is a great place, especially on a beautiful day like today. Definitely a great place to get lunch. Pretty sure this would be the northern side of Marietta Square. We have the Marietta mural, and kind of off in the distance there is the Welcome Center and the History Center for Marietta. This area has been here for quite a long time. I actually believe it goes as far back as the Civil War, which explains why it's so close to the railroad. A lot of the city centers of these towns like Marietta and Suwanee, and also Kennesaw, really have their roots in the Civil War or even pre-Civil War. The towns were built really close to the railroad. As you can imagine, it's because the railroad and the trains provided a lot of the goods for the cities, so that's what grew these cities. So the beginning of Marietta Square is right around here. This is kind of the origins of Marietta, is the downtown area, and then over the years and over decades, the city kind of grows out away from Marietta Square. Because we're kind of in the middle of the city, I would say we're about 45 minutes from like Midtown Atlanta. Some parts of Marietta are a little closer to Midtown because Marietta is so large, but this part here is at least 45 minutes, maybe even an hour away from Midtown. And then to get to something like Alpharetta would probably take about 30 minutes to get there. In general, a lot of these northern cities of Metro Atlanta are pretty close to each other, 20 to 30 minutes for the most part to get from one city to another. When it comes to finding homes in Marietta, right around here near Marietta Square, typically homes around here are about 700,000 or 800,000. depending on the size, obviously. And the thing too about the houses in this area is that they tend to be as old as Marietta Square. So they're very often, you know, about 100 years old for a home. They do have a few condos within walking distance to Marietta Square. I'd say a lot of those condos are about 700,000 or 800,000 as well. And by new, I mean built within the last 10 years. So that's something that's really popular around here as well, is being able to live so close to Marietta Square and being in like walking distance. I know a lot of people want to live in an area where they can walk to, you know, the nearby attractions, or being able to walk to a coffee shop or walk to a restaurant for dinner. That's not really possible for the most part in Marietta, but if you had one of these nearby homes or nearby condos, it would be a lot more feasible. Speaking of the train is here. Speaking of the train, just started to come by, so I thought I'd show you what this looks like. I'm not even sure if you can hear me. It's so loud right here. Now, those prices are mainly just around the square. If you drove farther away from the square, you know, maybe 7 or 8, 9 miles, you start to get into the areas that have more like traditional neighborhoods with HOAs and the pools and the tennis courts. In a lot of those neighborhoods, you can typically find a home for about 400,000 or 500,000. Right now, the average home value in Marietta is about 450,000. So you could find homes as low as 300,000 and as high as 1 or 2 million. But around here in the square, you're looking at closer to about 800,000. Another really interesting thing that a lot of people ask me about who are from another state, who are coming here to Georgia, is they ask about the gated communities and if they could find a home in a gated community. Here in Marietta, we don't have a lot of gated communities, and the few that are gated, it's typically because it's like an unsafe area. So it's kind of viewed differently here. If you are in an area that has that kind of security, it's understood or thought of that it's a less safe area. We don't have that many gated communities here in Marietta, so it's not super common. Also, when it comes to things like grocery stores or like a post office, or, you know, whatever you might be looking for when you're running daily errands, those things are all super close by. You don't have to drive very far. If you're living in this area, you know, that might be a 5 to 10 minute drive, 10 minutes at the most. But for the most part, we have plenty of those kinds of things. This is not like the country. This is not, you know, super rural area where everything is really far. Most things are within a close driving distance. Now, you probably wouldn't be able to walk to a grocery store around here. It probably is about 3 or 4 miles away. So certainly something to consider if you're thinking about moving to Marietta. This little shop here in the square is called Church Street Market. Let's go in here. Marietta is definitely a great city. There are so many benefits to living in this area. The great schools and the excellent home values, the amount of community that you can find here among all of the neighbors. But there are also some downsides to living in Marietta. If you want a full list of the pros and cons of living in Marietta, check out this video over here. I'll see you there.